welcome back to the deep dive. We've all heard that saying, do good and good things happen.
Right. It seems pretty straightforward.
But what if? What if the source material we're looking at today flips that completely on its head? We're going to unpack a really counterintuitive idea today. That sometimes, even when you do everything right, you can still face, unexpected hardship.
Yeah, it's a tough one to grapple with.
And your material jumps right into a powerful example, doesn't it? The story of Joseph.
It does. Joseph's story is kind of the classic case here.
For anyone familiar with it, it's jarring. I mean, Joseph seems to do everything right. He resists temptation, stays faithful.
He really does. Ticks all the boxes, you could say.
And yet he ends up thrown in prison. It seems to break that cause and effect idea we expect.
It absolutely does. And the sources, they don't shy away from this. They state it pretty clearly. Obedience doesn't guarantee comfort.
Wow. Okay. So comfort isn't the promise.
Not necessarily, no. It challenges that very human hope, that doing right means life gets easy, or at least easier right away.
So our deep dive today is really about why. Why might doing the right thing lead to pain first before maybe some kind of breakthrough?
Exactly. And what do these insights tell us about how to actually navigate that when things feel deeply unfair?
Okay, so sticking with Joseph, the material highlights how even fleeing temptation, which seems like the obvious right move, it cost him.
Yeah.
Potiphar's wife lies, he's innocent, but boom, prison.
And that really underlines the point. Doing right may still lead to suffering. It's not always that instant feel-good reward we might consciously or unconsciously hope for.
So what's the implication for us then? If obedience doesn't always bring immediate good stuff, maybe even brings rejection or misunderstanding.
Well, the research stresses something key here. Just because you face hardship after doing right, it doesn't mean you've lost your purpose. It doesn't mean you're off track.
Okay, that's important. So it's not a sign you did something wrong, necessarily?
Not at all. But it definitely raises that question, like you said. How do we apply this? How do we handle it when life feels like that?
And your sources do offer some guidance there.
They do. They really urge you to, stay faithful, even when people twist things or doubt you.
Stay faithful even when it's hard.
Exactly. And this next part is powerful. Don't measure obedience by comfort. Measure it by your trust.
Okay. So the metric changes. It's not how good do I feel, but how much am I trusting?
Precisely. It encourages developing, a kind of inner resilience, a peace that isn't just based on whether things outside are going well or badly, something deeper.
That makes sense. And there's another layer to this in the material, isn't there, about presence?
Yes, absolutely. The second big lesson is framed as God's presence is greater than our circumstance.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
So Joseph's story isn't just about the suffering. It's also about how he, kind of thrived despite it all.
Right. He ends up running the prison eventually, doesn't he?
He does. And it wasn't just luck or general favor. The text specifically says the warden trusted him with everything because, and this is the quote, "The Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did."
So that presence wasn't just a feeling. It translated into real, practical influence, strength.
Yeah, tangible results. Even inside a prison, an unjust system, that presence made a difference.
And your sources take that idea even further, suggesting this presence is always there.
They really emphasize that. They say, wherever you are, no matter how dark, lonely, or unfair, a guiding presence is not absent.
That's a strong statement.
It is. And they argue that this presence changes everything. It even reframes those difficult places, those prisons in life.
How so?
It suggests they're often places of preparation, places where character is shaped for something more, not just wasted time or punishment.
So practically speaking, what does that mean when you're facing challenges day to day?
Well, it's not about just passively accepting bad stuff. It's more about actively cultivating an awareness of that presence, maybe asking for strength, for clarity when things are confusing or seem unfair.
Okay, so an active awareness.
And crucially, continuing to act with integrity. Keep serving, keep loving, keep working faithfully, even if it feels like nobody sees or appreciates it, trusting that there's something deeper going on.
Like that sculpture analogy you mentioned from the sources.
Exactly, like the clay. The clay doesn't ask for the pressure or the heat, right?
Yeah.
But that's how it gets molded into something strong, something beautiful. The sources put it like this: God is shaping your character in the fire, not forgetting you in it.
Shaping, not forgetting. That's a key distinction.
It really is.
Yeah.
So wrapping up here, the main takeaway from your material is that even in the absolute worst circumstances, think Joseph in prison, that conviction of a guiding presence changes the whole picture. That verse, Genesis 39:23, sums it up. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. The presence was the game changer.
So the message is really that God's presence is greater than our circumstance, and that offers real encouragement for you listening. Keep the faith even when you're misunderstood.
Yeah.
Measure your walk by trust, not by comfort, and really try to internalize that idea. God is shaping your character in the fire, not leaving you there alone.
Which brings us to one last thought for you to maybe mull over.
Sure.
Building on this message that God is with you even in the fire.
Okay.
How might your perspective on difficult times change if you started seeing those fires not as abandonment, but as a place of shaping, a place of preparation?